today.
Wow.
Kind of got me off on that
Good
one.
day. I stomped Paul.
All right, so here we go.
Stomp an Irishman. Call in and stomp an
Wow,
Irishman.
wait a minute. Glad I'm on this side of the table today.
We do have Check Out California coming up for about 15 minutes. For about 10, 15 minutes, we're going to just rant and rave here.
So we're really saying this is a warm-up to the Check Out California show, which
just
has nothing to do with what we're talking about
just
right
to
now.
get people.
This is just,
upset.
people. Actually,
Like the ascot, by the way.
thank you. Well, it's opening day at Del Mar, right?
Yeah.
And I was supposed to go there, and I just couldn't make it.
We have a caller right away.
This is, by the way, what he's talking about, right?
We have a caller right away here.
Who wears an ascot anymore, right?
That's right.
Are you ready, sir?
Go
You got
ahead.
to get your headsets on.
Who's our caller?
You got to get your headsets on. You won't hear the caller.
Don't tell me put my headset on. Go ahead. Who's the caller?
You have a very famous caller. We have Ole Hansen's grandson on the phone right now here.
Phil, are you on the air?
Hi. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. So what are you...
Phil Hansen. Hi.
Hi, Phil. It's Rod. How can...
Does everybody know who Ole Hansen was? Everybody in your community does. Does everybody else
Don't get
know?
him started.
Huh? Who was Ole Hansen? Tell us who your grandfather was real quickly.
Who was your grandfather, Phil?
My grandfather was the founder and builder of San Clemente, California.
There you go.
He was much more than that. He was also former mayor of Seattle.
Mayor of Seattle. He, was a state
He also negotiated a...
legislator
Yeah.
in Washington State, and he also was the founder and builder of Lake Forest Park. And he did quite a bit of foundational work in... Oh, I'm sorry. I got to turn you off so I can talk on the phone.
Yes, right.
Whatever floats your boat.
Right.
With the show.
Okay.
You know how that works.
Yeah, we know.
But he also founded Lake Forest Park in Washington State as well.
Right, not down the street here near El Toro. This is up in Washington State.
Oh, okay.
Which interestingly is based on the same principles and philosophy of Village Beautiful, but just with a more northern western coastline feel with pine trees and so forth, as San Clemente was for Spanish Revival. It's the same philosophy, different skin. Wouldn't you say that?
We got 10
Phil?
minutes in the show, and you're talking about the intricacies of architecture?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. So
they were very tight, Teddy Roosevelt and Ole Hansen.
Really? He knew Teddy Roosevelt?
Yeah, he tried to get nomination under the Bull Moose Party.
Teddy used to come and visit Ole over at Rose Cottage outside of Lake Forest Park, which he built for his wife, my grandmother, Melody May Leona Rose. And they would go horseback riding together.
Okay, but that's not what's really burning you up right now, Phil. Right? What's burning you up right now?
You got to. That sounds like an idyllic life. Your grandfather's hanging out with Teddy Roosevelt. He's a mayor. He creates a city. Life is good. What could you be upset about?
Well, I'll tell you what I'm upset about. Number one is the toll road.
The toll road.
But wait, Phil. You're all the way up north. Why is the toll road down in San Clemente pissing you off?
Because San Clemente forever, to our family, is a work of art that our grandfather had a lot to do with creating.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
And so we honor that work of art, just like anyone would honor, say, Pinky or Blue Boy or something they'd see in a museum.
So do you think that there's
we're fist bumping here while you're doing this?
Because here's what I'm feeling going on these days, right? I think there's a complete lack of integrity in everything that's happening.
No,
okay?
no.
Yeah.
The whole world, the whole country.
There's no friggin' integrity, right? There's no authenticity.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
Okay.
In and Out still has.
Wait a minute. The show with you and I isn't happening in 10 minutes. This is my time. Don't tell me I'm wrong on my own show. Okay.
I have to disagree with that, just in the fact that there are people like Richard Branson, Sir Richard Branson,
there you go,
who is out trying to make a difference, and he's rich. And that's perfectly fine. I've never had trouble with rich people. I've never had trouble with
it's not what I'm talking about.
Class people.
But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about in terms of wealth. Okay, I'm talking about that just there's seemingly, I'll use an economic term, a diminishing rate of return. Okay, on personal accountability, on authenticity, on actually looking beyond your own personal gain,
because it's
on integrity.
It's what you can get away with today. If you can get away with it, it's a good thing. If you can't get away with it, then it's a bad thing. That's the measure.
Well,
now, Paul, are you saying people only do the right thing when somebody else is watching them?
I think today, yeah.
When they're by themselves,
in my father's,
but that's the whole definition of integrity.
In my father's,
when nobody is watching.
Exactly.
In my father's World War II generation, not all of them, but most of them held themselves to a personal standard. I'm not going to do this because it's wrong.
Right.
Even if nobody ever catches me, even if I might wrestle with it. Gee, I could make a lot of money, but I'm not going to do it because it's wrong.
Right. I'm the same way. I have a very strong moral code.
Now, today, we see politicians and priests and everybody, if you get caught, it's bad. If you don't get caught, then it's okay. I'm a good Irish Catholic. I can attack the church. I still go.
Well, but okay, so
But
let's talk about something that I found very interesting today, right?
What's that?
Anybody else catch the, by show of hands in the studio, anybody else catch or hear about the press conference launch of the, this friggin' whatever it is,
I thought he hasn't had one in 3 weeks.
Boondoggle about the integrity in the election process and finding out if there's fraudulent elections.
Oh, the election commission.
The election commission to prove me right. I
to
think
prove
is what
the
it should
3
be.
million illegals
vote,
voted.
yeah,
Yeah, right.
It's a smoke screen. It's a diversion.
Everything he does is a
Everything that
diversion.
this guy
That's the
does-
truth.
Okay.
Everything that this guy does is to divert you, get you upset,
That's
get
right.
you off.
That's right. See what he did.
Exactly.
Then what he does,
He interfered with your phone call right there.
Pass legislation that is atrocious while we're watching them do their antics.
Well, he's gonna strip down the EPA, and we're not gonna be able to breathe,
Yeah.
and we're not gonna have
Good
clean
thing.
drinking water, and
Department of Education is toast.
well, yeah.
Well,
yeah.
we actually
State Department's toast.
There's a
No
proposed,
negotiating
There's a
anymore.
proposed cut. There's two things I just need to get off my chest that are today specific.
Okay.
Because I got enough baggage to
ascot
bring
one
into
of
here.
them?
Okay. The ascot is not one of them. Actually, I'm kind of enjoying
I was
the ascot.
pissed off that you had an ascot.
Can I get a show of thumbs on the feed? How many people like the ascot?
You got to look in the
Okay.
camera. For the
How
other
many
way here,
people
too.
like the ascot over here? Okay,
Looks
thanks.
good.
Okay, thanks. So anyway, so here's the two things. Okay, one, today they announced they're going to cut 40% out of the training programs for the Department of Labor.
Yeah.
So how you make America great again by putting people back to work that you need to basically retrain out of their archaic and obsolete skill set by cutting out 40% of the training program for the Department of Labor. Hold on, that's one. Two, this friggin' sham of an agency that's basically headed by the vice president is going to look into integrity of our voter base, right? He kept making reference to the word legal, like you don't. Okay, the claim is 5 million votes were basically fraudulent votes and voter fraud, basically, right?
But for that, he would have won.
Right. So,
The popular vote.
so other than the fact that he actually won, okay, that seems to be escaping him all the time.
Well, why
right?
argue? You won.
Let me ask you this, okay? Why would you
He's a
stand? Why would
snowflake.
you stand there in front of the whole country and say that the states, we've asked the states to give us the information,
Right.
and some of the states have given us the information, and
Very few.
I'm not quoting specifically exactly, but the essence is some of the states have given us the information, of course, information that was already readily available, by the way,
Right.
and then some of the other states, a
Most
lot
of
of them,
them.
like
Most
40
of them.
some states, are basically saying, heck no, we're not giving you this information. It's a dissemination of private information.
Right.
And he says, referring to the states that are not giving the information, oh, they'll give the information because basically if somebody doesn't disclose information, you got to ask yourself, why are they not disclosing information? Honest to God, that's what he said, okay? Because when somebody doesn't give information, they must have something to hide. Let that sink in for a minute.
Okay. Yeah.
That's usually the case.
Tax returns, buddy?
But this is the guy who didn't release his tax returns. This is the guy who said he didn't have any meetings with all the Russians. Oh, except those other 10 that we keep finding about. Or is it 12 or is it 14? This is the one that said there was nobody in the meeting, the last one we had. Oh, there was 2 people, 4 people.
Or the people
6
in the
8
state
people.
that are this week griping about the increased tax on gas, which I'm not for or against. My instinct is say why more taxes, right? But the people that are griping about sales tax
Why
added on
not?
gas,
Why not?
Right, hold on, added
Tax
on gas.
everybody.
But they're the same people that are supporting the friggin' toll road, and they're using the logic of you can't put tax on gas because the poor commuters are basically being penalized because they're the ones that are going to take the brunt of it. So $7 a toll each direction is not the same as increasing taxes.
Of course it is.
So can I summarize? We only have a couple minutes left. Here's what started this today. I wake up
I walked
every
in.
single day.
He walked in. that's
Every
what's
single day, and I think there's a lot of Americans now. The election's over. We should be down to doing business again, not worry about it. I could wake up every day, and there's something I read that pisses me off. And to the point I have to run and look at it. I'm expecting it to be there, whether it's a local issue like the toll road or a state issue or a federal issue.
It
or
has been crazy since that guy got elected.
every day.
It's been chaos every day.
Every
He's
day.
the deflector in chief.
So, but let me.
We're not watching
he's been
the ball.
offending world
You
leaders.
got that right.
But let me.
He's been dismantling our foreign and domestic policies.
dismantling
You
the
mean
presidency.
you mean when he
the
basically
United
left
States. He's dismantling the United States
So
and throwing it to the dogs.
So here's the devil's advocate
Can you say
position, though.
comrade?
I can say comrade. I have a problem saying
That's-
comrade.
you know,
I can
that's-
also say it in a couple of languages. Would you like to hear it?
Yes.
Okay, but that's my educated background. But, okay, but here's the thing. Okay, here's the devil's advocate on that one. We're all watching.
Yeah.
And it's happening.
But we're all watching.
Right.
We're glued to the friggin' TV like it's a reality show,
I
right?
can't turn it
is.
off. I
It is.
cannot
It's a bad
turn it off.
reality show.
Okay, so when do we exercise the exact and whether and should we actually? Because here's the thing, right? If we turn it off and we don't watch it, it's still going to be
Then
taking place,
Then
right?
he gets away with it.
It'll
know.
be after the elections in 2018. Mitch McConnell
Yeah.
and his group have got no desire or inkling to do anything about him.
No.
Now, my feeling was they got Pence on the ticket because they felt that they could control him. At some point, they would ask Donnie to leave,
Right.
whether it was by impeachment or resignation,
Right.
with the threat of impeachment. But I don't think they have. I think they're going to just let this nonsense play out and play out.
So what? So let's
Ride it into the ground.
You're hearing it here for the first time. We're about a year away, right?
Yeah.
What happens in 2018, gentlemen?
I don't think.
Oh,
it's-
wise sages that are older than me.
Right now, I'm going to tell you, it's not the overwhelming thing the Democrats think it's going to be because the base is still solidly with Donald, and no matter what you see, he said it all. He could get caught shooting somebody on Fifth Avenue, and
Right,
his supporters
on the
would
street.
still doubt it.
Okay, part of the problem is, though, the DNC is still out to lunch. Okay? They've got no leadership.
I
They've got
agree.
no message.
They're horribly divided.
So let's
Yeah.
start with this. Let's define what an entitlement is, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I look at Social Security and I look at Medicare that I've been paying into for 40 plus years. That's not
Yeah,
an
I pay out a
entitlement.
lot.
That is an earned benefit. So let's have the DNC
Not
get
according
that
to the
message out.
GOP.
I don't care what the GOP says. They lie. Okay, and they have never reduced the size of the federal government.
Never.
They claim that that's what they're
They
all
come
about.
in, and Reagan increased the deficit, Bush increased the deficit, and
But
Trump's
you're
going to increase the
boring me
deficit.
with details, aren't you?
boring with-
It's all about the emotion, isn't
That's
it?
it.
I
That's
gave you
it.
some
You hit.
emotion.
I just teed you up for
You
that.
teed me up because
Well, it is true that
we live in a
what Reagan
post-fact
did was
society.
He deregulated
Alt-fact.
so much,
Alt-fact.
and it
Alt-fact.
continued.
Ask
that
Kellyanne
what you had
Conjob.
was you had a society running,
Conjob. I like that.
running crazy.
He just got
I mean,
excited.
it just without regulation, and
Right.
what they want is a more unregulated society to the point where you won't even know if you buy a candy bar and it's safe.
Exactly.
Exactly. Our air, our water, everything else. Yeah.
Go back to the
Chemicals
era
being used for weeds,
which we saw in the
Absolutely.
late 1800s when all of this stuff was created. That's when they created that's when they created Food and Drug, and that's
So
what
where do we?
created all
Where
this
do
stuff.
we?
Right,
We got
and
about three.
Roosevelt
We got
had a
about.
lot
We
to
got
do with
about.
it.
We got about 3 minutes. We need to basically go.
We got to do less than that.
Okay, but so where do we find ourselves in 2018, or even more so, where do we find ourselves in 2020?
Here's the only answer I can give you today.
Are we still standing in 2020? Are
No.
we picking up with stuff between the rubble in 2020?
Here's the answer I got to give you right now. Tune in to the Rad Life and follow this journey.
Ooh,
There you go.
that's fine.
There's no answer.
And follow the toll road
I have
as
to tell
well.
you, I really want to hear from people when they listen into the Rad Life, which is 12 to 1 every Wednesday, okay? Because this is really part of our joint journey. And I got to tell you, I am concerned.
I am too.
I am seriously
We all
concerned about where the heck we're going to be. Is it going to be food lines? Is it another depression where you got rubber barons and railroad barons and basically everybody else is thrown to the
Water
side?
barons. It's Nestle.
Well, water
it's
Coca-Cola,
Coca-Cola, and
water
PepsiCo.
barons
They
has
own
been
all
the case in
water.
California for a very long time,
They
starting
own
with
the water.
Doheny and otherwise.
Toll road
Okay,
barons.
so thanks for joining us for a very short but very, I think,
It was
emotional
interesting.
and interesting. Phil, call back anytime. And
Tell us some more stories about TR. I love Teddy Roosevelt. I'd love to hear more
and
stories
we're
about
going
TR.
we're going to go take a break,
Oh, I'd
and then
love to. I could talk all day about that.
Okay.
we're going to take a break, and he can, yes. And we're going to take a break, and then we'll come back with the Check Out California radio show, your key to California hospitality, with this gentleman right here and myself and our very interesting guest.
Thanks for letting me be a guest on your show, Rat.
Thank you, Greg.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Thanks, Phil.
Bye-bye.
You have been listening to the Rad Life radio show with your host and age explorer, Rad Gontos, brought to you on the one and only octalkradio.net. Join us again next week as we continue our journey of discovery into life's challenges, opportunities, options, and all the latest and greatest things that come with getting older.
Imagine what it would feel like to lose everything: your job, your home, your family, your dignity. This has happened to thousands of the men, women, veterans, and young adults we serve at Working Wardrobes. What do we do to help? We provide career development services,